Okay, hello everyone. We are going to go into our questions about relationship this afternoon. It is 3 o'clock. I'm going to give 4 more minutes for people to start coming on and listening or joining or watching, whichever. Okay, let's see. I have a few people. So I don't know how to share. Let's see. How do I share this? Let me see. Oh, I can invite people on. Let me see. I can invite. Who do I want to invite? Where is Lucas? Okay, so I know she will invite. I think this is how it's done, guys. I don't know anything about media, social media. I just look at the pictures and I tap on whatever it looks like. It is what I need. I don't know. But anyway, so hello, everyone. We are going to talk about relationships. Let me get to the questions that we have today. I'll kind of tell you what we talked about last week as we wait for other people to join. So I usually start. I give people 5 minutes at least. Not more than 5 minutes. So I'm going to just share with you some of the questions that we saw last week. Let's see if I can get to it right now. So last week, in the 2 minutes we have left, so many things happened between that time. I'm trying to scroll. Nope, not yet. Nope. Okay, here's what we discussed last week. So last week we talked about how long is too long to date someone before getting married. Before getting married. We talked about how soon is too soon to make the decision to get married. We talked about are guys turned off when girls start asking them about popping the question. We also talked about do those who begin as friends or close friends before dating have a better chance at a long-lasting relationship? And we had our fellow brother Dwayne who shared a few questions with us, and he had asked, let me see if I can find his questions as well. There were like 2 other questions that he asked that we covered. I can't find them right now. I'd have to scroll way down before I find them. But I have a few more questions that we're going to answer today that he did share. So let's just focus on those rather than go back and look. Or should I? Let me see if I can. I have 1 more minute before people start joining. Or, well, I already have a few people. Let's see. I possibly can find them. Okay, is it here? Comment. Yes. So his question was that we answered, does compatibility only involve spiritual issues? And does a successful courtship always mean a successful marriage? So those are the questions that we covered last week. Now, this week, it's 3:05. We're about to start. So we're going to pray. And then we're going to tackle the questions of today. So let me get to our questions right here. Okay, so let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to have a conversation about relationships. Father, you have given us the opportunity to talk about so many different things on this platform, and we are glad to be focusing on this subject today. Thank you for whatever it is that you're going to enlighten us to, make us aware of the information that you're going to impart to us through our friends and family and fans and supporters and whoever is going to join us to share. We thank you for them. We ask that you help us to truly listen and apply the information that you will impart to us today, not just to hear them, but to put them into action, apply them in our lives. Thank you for everything that you've done for us in the past, everything that you're doing for us now, and everything you will do for us in the future. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, so the first question that we are going to see, again, I'm doing this because in the evenings on Friday, in the night on Friday at 9 o'clock, we have a group of young people that get together and talk about the book that Michael Todd wrote, which is Relationship Goals. I think that's what it's called. And during the course of the conversation, some questions come up, and I find them to be so intriguing that I was like, oh my gosh, let me pull out some of these questions and then share on social media, share with you guys on Facebook who do tend to, listen to me and watch some of my videos. That way it's more content and it becomes more intriguing. Okay. So we're going to have this conversation together. So I hope that you guys totally share and participate however you can. Let's see, someone sent something. I will log out and log into Lucrez. Okay, no problem. So here we go. The first question, as I said, was, I didn't say what the first question was, but the first question is, what are some liabilities in a relationship? Okay. So when you think of a relationship, okay, when you think of a liability, that's something that can go wrong. That's something that's bad. That's something that can cost you time, energy, money, right? That can waste those things. Okay. So what do you think are liabilities in a relationship? So I'm going to share what I think a liability is, and you can share with me in writing or in words, whatever, what you think a liability is. Okay, so liabilities for me are things that can cause some hindrance, some problem. And for example, one of the things I shared during the conversation is if a person has too much aggression, if a person is easily angered, like that to me is a liability, right? Because they could kill somebody. It don't have to be me. It could be somebody else that they get angry. We go out and somebody, tries to offend me, or they're driving and their aggression. Like if they cannot control, and that's one thing one of the youth mentioned, a person has to be able to control their emotions. Okay, I don't care how angry you get. I don't care how bad a situation is. You have to be in control of you, right? Your emotions, your words, your actions. And if you're not, that can lead very far. And it can become a problem for your life, a problem for your mental state, a problem for our welfare, right? You want to be able to, hone your emotions and rein them in and like, maintain yourself, right? And so that could be a liability. A person who is too aggressive can be a liability. A person who's aggressive problem. Okay. Person who cannot maintain their emotions, that can be a problem. Another thing that can be a problem is, what else do we say? A person who doesn't have, who can't maintain their finances, right? Someone who has issues with spending money. Like if you're spending money like water in a relationship, that could be a problem, okay? Because we need to pay mortgage, we need to pay rent, we gotta live. And this world, as nice as it is for us to say, love makes the world go round, you need money, okay? And I love you and all, but if we can't pay rent, we can't eat, we can't do things that money asks for, it's going to be a problem. So if you do not know how to save, if you do not know how to rein in and keep your money in your pocket or keep that credit card in your, tucked away, sometimes that's an issue. That's a liability, all right? Because I might find myself on the street one day. We could be homeless, all right? I don't want to, you didn't find me in a shelter, sir. Okay. So a person who does not know how to control how they spend is a liability. We don't want none of those. All right. Female or male. I don't care who you are. Make sure your person you're in a relationship with knows when to say no to whatever they're buying. You don't need it. Don't spend on it. That's a liability. What are other liabilities? What do you guys think? Okay. I said the aggression, because I don't want nobody hitting me. Keeping your temper or maintaining your emotions, right? In any situation, right? It doesn't only have to be anger. It could be fear too. Like if you're afraid, like super, super afraid, like I don't want to wuss, y'all. Can we talk about it? Like, I mean, I want to be like, you not scared? Cause I'm scared. Could you hold me? Let's just be real. I'm gonna be real. Okay. I don't want to wuss. You can be afraid. Keep that to yourself because we don't both gotta be afraid, all right? Let me see you be strong. And it could be the girl too. It could be vice versa. Like, let's say something happens and we're at our end or whatever. Like, I could be honey, I got this, right? We could handle this. We're gonna do this together, right? It doesn't only have to be the man. It also have to be the woman, right? Both parties have to be able to maintain their emotions and not freak out. Ah! We don't want none of that. Okay. So what other liabilities are there? Anyone else? Anyone else think? What other liabilities? Let's see. We said emotions. We said anger issues with aggression. We said money issues. What other problems can cause issues in relationships? Liability. I think the jobs that you pick, that could be a liability. I don't want anybody in the mafia. Let's just talk about it, okay? I don't want a drug dealer either. That's a liability. I don't care. You need find the right ways to make money, okay? Because as much as I would like to go home to a shelter and I'd like to drive a car and I want food on my table, I don't want to be looking over my shoulder. Okay, I want peace of mind. Whatever job you have, make sure it's either a 9 to 5 or your own personal business where nobody's coming after us. Okay, that's a liability. Okay. What other liabilities are there?
I have something.
Sure.
In terms of being a liability, somebody there that's really insecure
right.
of themselves, or they don't know themselves they're enough, and they're constantly. Sometimes people are liabilities if they're insecure about how you are with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a carefree person and you're like an extrovert and you like to be outgoing and, hang out with, your friends and so forth, but they're constantly, and they don't have any friends, or enough friends or whatever have you. That's a liability. If you can't allow me to do me because you don't know how to do
you,
so to speak.
Ooh, I like that. And I heard so many relationships break up because the person is insecure. So true. Like, all we do, I meet somebody on the street that I knew since I was young or met at church or something. He said hi and I gotta act like I didn't hear him. That's kind of crazy. Just because I know you watching, right? That's just ridiculous. So definitely, I totally agree. That is a liability because that's gonna hurt the relationship. I need to be able to be free and be me, and you'd have to do the same. I totally agree with that one. Anyone else? Before we move on, liabilities. What are issues in a relationship? Things that you if you see them, you're like, this is going to cause a problem later on. Like this right here, if we don't solve this or get rid of this can't be the one, right? Okay, so those are some of the liabilities. Let's see the next question. So since we talked about liabilities, the next one is, what are some assets? What are some things that you see in a relationship? You're like, this is what I want. Like this right here, this is gold. If I have if my if my girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other has this, like we going far, right? So the one thing for me is I had said laziness. I remember in the other last night. That's a liability. So I could use the opposite: a hard worker. Like if the person is hard working, that is an asset. Like that man or that female will do anything. I'm not saying like a workaholic, because that could be a problem, right? You don't want the person never to be home. But that person, that there's nothing that's going to get in the way for them to get theirs, right? Which then will become ours, right? So you want a person who's hardworking. To me, that is an asset, a hard worker. What's another asset? Anyone else?
An asset is someone with integrity, someone there that is able to say what they're going to do and do what they're going to do.
Yes.
Not somebody that's like wishy-washy, says something and does something else, or never lives up to their promise or potential.
That's right. Integrity. And the first person I think about when I think about integrity is like a Daniel. Like I want someone who, like, you could trust. Like if something happens, you like, that not my husband or not my boyfriend, that he would not do that. Like I know, because I know your yes is yes and your no is no. Dwayne said disrespect is a liability. liability. Yes, disrespect is a liability, because if the person cannot respect me for who I am, who curses at me or comes in my face or, tries to belittle me, that is a liability. That's not good. Dwayne says, trust is a huge asset. Yes, trust my words. Trust what I say to you. If, you should know the person that you're going out with, or, you should be able to trust them. If the person is trustworthy, just like you're saying, Lucas, they're yes. When they tell you yes, they're going to die for their yes. And when they say no, nothing's going to shift them as long as they have made up their minds. Another person, when we were in the group, mentioned, what did they mention? They mentioned consistency. They said that was an asset, right? So consistency, when a person is consistent, to me, they're saying everything there, it's, what's coming, kind of. I guess, they stay the course, right? They'll see it to the end, kind of thing. So I think that's really a good thing as well, because they're not a quitter. Quitters to me are liabilities, but a person who's consistent, who stays the course, who repeats a good thing over and over, and they're kind of safe, right? So I think that's an asset too. Insecurity, yes. You could do a wuss up. Don't want to wuss. Oh, don't want to wuss. So Lucas said she laughed at when I said I don't want to wuss, right? Definitely. So those are some assets. So as we think about those things, those of you who will be watching, who maybe do not have a significant other yet, or you do, these are some of the things, and there are others that you can look at to say to yourself, okay, this is something that I like, this is something that I'm looking for, or this is something that I see that I don't like, that I don't want. If the person can change that thing about themselves, maybe you could help them change it. But I'm not one for who thinks people are easily changed. I think God does that best. I'm not saying people don't change for others. That does happen. I've heard that story many times, but mostly in movies. But I'm not saying it's impossible. But do not go into a relationship with a person who has 1, 2, 3, 5 liabilities and 1 asset and be like, oh, well, at least he makes money. That's an asset is godly. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we forgot that. A person who is God-fearing, that is a huge asset. And there are certain assets that will help with all the liabilities, right? Not to say, but sometimes they fake it too. Like the person could say that I'm godly, I go to church, I'm a Christian, and it's not truly the fact, because then why you got all these liabilities? Like why are you so, set on, not being trustworthy, not this, not that. So, and some liabilities can show you the fakeness in the person's assets. If the person tells you they have an asset, you got to be able to see that asset, right? And if the person is showing you, and that's the thing too, like a person will always talk about their assets, right? But I don't want you to talk about your assets. I want to see your assets. And a person will rarely tell you about their liabilities, but you will be able to see that liability. So in both ways, I want you to be able, and don't be relying on other person telling you about other people's liabilities. Even though some of them you might not be able to see yourself, but a lot of them you will. And there are people who will try to ruin a relationship for you. So be mindful. If a person is telling you this person has this liability, don't just take their word for it, right? Because I have known a lot of females who are jealous of another guy, of another girl who has the perfect guy, and they go and lie and be like, yo, I saw such and such do da-da-da-da, he did it, and they're lying. So don't just come on these co-workers, friends, whatever, even family members. You listen, your cousins, your sisters, I'm just saying, let's just be real. Not everybody is happy for you when you happy, okay? So make sure you're really observant. You give it time so that you can observe these liabilities. How deep are they? How bad are they? And also these assets. Are they real assets or are they on paper assets, right? I've heard stories when people come with the check that they faked, right? Or they listen, I heard this story, right? This guy got up every day, took his car, and went to work. Every day. And then one day the wife was like, she wasn't seeing the money because he was like, he's sending his money to Haiti. I'm talking about, this is Haitian because that's the story I hear from. But, and then it was like, I'm not seeing this money. He's always going to work. So one day she was like, she went out to work, parked her car some other place, and then watched him come out his house to see where he's going. Man got dressed, showered, dressed, walked out the house with a suit on, got in his car and sat in it. or he drove away and came back in like 10 minutes, something like that. I don't remember the full story. But my point is, watch for these assets, y'all. Don't just take this brother's word for it or this sister's word for it. Investigate when it comes to, like, make sure. Okay, but let's get a little further along with these questions, because this whole investigation brings on another question. So let's see what our third question is. Okay, but be sure about these assets and be sure about these liabilities. Okay, so the next question is, let's see if I can get to it first. Oh shucks, I gotta scroll. Hold on, y'all. Sorry, it took too long to get back. I talk too much, y'all. I talk too much. Lucas says trust seems to be a big asset for women. And she also said, what do you suppose is a big asset is when men are looking at a woman to be with? Okay, so if for women, Lucas is saying trust for women is a big asset. What is a big asset for men? Like what do men find to be a big asset for them? So you guys who are watching, please share, right? What do you think is a big asset that a woman would have, like that you're looking for? And we'll watch for that answer. So my next question is it important to speak the same love language as your significant other? So I thought that was a really good point that was made in the conversation. And I wanted to focus on a love language, right? First of all, what is a love language, right? So to me, a love language is how I decide if I'm being loved or not, right? So I don't think everyone, I was brought up, my aunt, her thing was, so for men, it's respect. So Dwayne says for men, the most important asset that a woman should have is respect. And I have heard men say that, that a woman needs to respect them as a man, right? And not try to belittle them, not try to make them feel bad, right? But show them the respect that their manliness, is due, right? Masculinity, right? We know that. I've heard that. So thank you for that, Dwayne. Thank you for that. So back to this love language, right? So my aunt always told me, love is spelled one way, Love. But what she meant to say is that when a person loves you, you're going to know, right? And it's demonstrated in one way. But as I grew older, I realized that is not true. Everyone feels love differently, right? So for me, I'm very emotional. Like I'm very attachy. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm very lovey-dovey, right? So I'm like the hugging type. I'm like the kissing type. I'm like the holding hands. Like that's me. There are people that don't do that. They don't like that. That's not how they express love, right? I don't like to give physical things, right? I give words, right? So if I don't give you some people, if they receive gifts, that's their thing. I'm not a flower girl. I like, okay, it's nice, it's beautiful, but I'm not a flower girl. My aunt is a flower girl. Like, she loves plants, she loves flowers. So a guy gives her flowers, that's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, thank you. That's nice. But that doesn't make my heart beat, right? So everybody is different. You have to know the person, learn about the person, watch the person, observe the person so that you see what their love language is. So I'm not going to share my love language because that's personal to me. You got to learn about me before. I might tell you what I don't like, but I'm not going to tell you what I like, because it's personal to me. And my boo will know. You know what I'm saying? But every single person has a love language, right? Some people, it's when they receive gifts. Some people, it's a feely and touchy kind of person. Well, I just did say that. Didn't I say that? I love touchy. Nicola, be quiet. Anyway, so like everybody's different. So now, it's important for me and for you to know what the love language of your siblings, of your parents, of your significant other, of your husband. You have to see, okay, when you give them something, how do they react? When you talk to them, how do they react? You have to observe this person on different levels so you can see how their eyes open up, how they react, how if they laugh, if they giggle, if they smile, what do you do that cause them to melt, right? Lucas said, me either. I don't like receiving live flowers because they die. Yeah, to me, that's maintenance. I'm like, I can't be bothered. I just can't be bothered, right? So, but everyone is different. Some females, that's like their thing. Other people, it's chocolate. Maybe they have a sweet tooth. Right? So like everybody is different. You really have to know the person's love language. So then so that's what we're talking about when we talk about love language. So is it important important to speak the same love language as your significant other. So do you have to be able to, speak the same love language? So as you think about that, I think the answer is no. You don't necessarily have to speak the same love language. It doesn't have to be like, you're touchy, lovey-dovey, right? And then the person is touchy, lovey-dovey. You have to find someone who speaks the same love language as you, but you have to be aware what that is. Right? Dwayne says The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman is an excellent book. Quiz and study. Okay, well, let me snapshot this so I know what we gotta do next. Okay, right there. So you have to learn what that person's love language is. All because you think you're showing the person love doesn't mean the person feels loved. And I have this thing with my parents, like with daughters and children and parents, right? So a lot of parents, like my dad, his thing is, he loves you because he puts you to school, because he pays you for your food, because he gives you a house to stay. I'm like, no, sir, if you didn't do that, you go to jail. Okay, that's not love. That's just requirements because you're not dead. Okay, but when I go and I play with him, and then I joke around with him, if he jokes back, if he laughs back. So like my mom, when I go visit my mom, like, I love to go visit my mom because, like, I'm on the same bed as her. We have jokes, we laugh, we're telling each other stories. Like, I'm like, I gotta be next to my mom. Even when I lived with my aunt, I was like 30 years old and I would still get into bed with my aunt because that's my love language. I love to cuddle. I love to be next to the person, right? It doesn't matter how old the person is. You gotta know what that love language is, right? And so parents need to learn that. Husbands need to know that about their wives. Wives need to know that about their husbands. But before you get that marriage license, you gotta know what your girlfriend does, right? What she feels, how she feels, and what is her love language. But the thing too people do is, once that's done, once you get married, they throw that love language out the door. Like, what are you doing? This is how you got the person. You can't go and like forget about that. You know what made her smile was when you gave her flowers. So keep giving her flowers. You know what made him happy was when you cooked for him. So keep cooking for him, right? I talked about the girls, but the guys have love language too. Maybe it's their stomach. Maybe it's a gift. Maybe it's to say, yo, honey, you look good. Like, look at those muscles. Like, oh my gosh, flex for me. Go ahead, flex for me. I don't know, y'all. I'm trying to think. I'm using my imagination, okay? You don't know what it is, but you gotta find out. Maybe if you do that, and he's like, yo, leave me alone, man. Like, I'm not about that. Well, that's not something you continue to do because he gets embarrassed. He doesn't like that. Yo, one thing that happened to me that I hated was I had a cousin, right? And he was so annoying. Yo, he would tease his wife like to the point to me that it made her cry. Like, there's some people who have a sense of humor, but that could go over and beyond. Like, people have limits. Like, if that's not their love language, don't continue. If they say stop, right? So that's something that guys and girls got to learn about each other. So Lucas says, one of my love language is smell. Love when my man smells good and the cologne knocks you out. Ooh, girl, go ahead with that. And that's so true because, like, I would be on a bus or the train and a guy would have a cologne and I'm like, oh, what is that? And I want to move, but then another person will come on and I'm like, ooh, what? Right? That is so true. Girl, we got similar love language. Go ahead, girl. What? Yes, like people, and that's true. Some girls have similar love language and some have different love language. But it doesn't matter, like, to see if it's different or if it's the same. You just got to know what it is. But definitely, I'll never forget my uncle. My uncle smells so good. And he had his whole concoction that he did. And I'm like, and especially, when a girl hugs on a guy, you want to be comfortable. And speaking to that, I remember this one girl. My aunt told me the story. I be telling people stories. I don't know. But y'all know who it is. I don't even know who it is. But anyway, she told me a story about some relationship. The guy, he would sweat a lot. And the girl, she hated the way he smells after a day's work because he smelled his body odor, his manly body odor was stinky, right? So obviously that might not be something you could change about yourself because that's your body odor, So I would imagine that before he goes to hug her, he has to take a shower because she hates that smell. You see? So there's certain things about you that a person doesn't like that you can alter and change. But my thing was, listen, didn't you know he had that was his body odor? So you were never in the vicinity around him when he sweat? These are the kind of things that you have to learn before you get married. Because once you get married, you stuck. Let's just be real, right? We're not supposed to get a divorce. I do not condone divorces. I don't care. I just don't. All right. So you really got to learn these different things. So definitely know that you have to learn the person's love language, even if you don't have the same one. That's okay. Just learn what your husband and your significant other's love language is. Okay, let's go back to the questions. So the next question is, what does a God-centered relationship look like? Okay, so what does a God-centered relationship look like? You could definitely share what you think that is. So for me, a God-centered relationship is putting God first, right? So there are certain things that we might want to do that we know is not according to God's will. We're not going to do it, right? So let's say, we want to go out or we want to go dating or whatever, to some restaurant or, some park or whatever. To me, a God-centered relationship is, okay, we might go to a certain place, but there are other places, if it gets too dark or it gets too secluded and then my emotions start to take control over me, God-centered mean I'm not going to go but so far because I know how much I can bear and I do not want to defile my body. I don't want to have any sex out of wedlock. All of it, to me, is you're putting God's rules and regulations before your own feelings and desires, right? Maybe, I like this guy because he looks cute or he has a job, he has all these assets, but if he's not Seventh-day Adventist, and to me, I cannot marry someone who's not equally yoked, meaning he's not for me, right? So God-centered mean my religion, my faith, when I get married, I want to be able to go to a Seventh-day Adventist church. You're not going to a Seventh-day Adventist church, well, we can't be together because that's, to me, God is not in the middle right there for me in the way that I want him to be, right? You're going to church on Sunday, I'm going to church on Saturday. That to me is not, that's a you and that's a me thing. Like that, I don't like that, right? Also, God-centered, what else is other God-centered? I think, the places we go, how we worship, praying together. So... Talking about praying together, right? When I went to college, I went to Atlanta Union, right? And we had a female's dorm and a male's dorm. And this is what I hated, y'all, right? So these kids who, I'm talking about pastor to bees, right? They catch themselves trying to be God-centered, praying together, right? And then you see them in a corner holding each other, praying to God. Like, boy, please, just stop it. Come on now, really? You can sit right there and I sit right there and we still be praying together, okay? So I'm talking about, not just this fake, let's put God first, let's put God in the middle, and we holding hands and praying and cuddling and cool. Listen now, are you really praying? What you saying? Let me hear it, right? I don't feel like that is God-centered. God-centered is knowing, for example, in that dorm, because I had to break up two people because the dorm's rules and regulation was no public show of affection. No public show of affection. That's what it was. And so they were on top, they were literally sitting on each other, talking about they praying. The Bible was in the lap. I'm like, listen, get off of her, get off of him, right? This is not, to me, God-centered, okay? And so, some people use the guise of religion to do their nasties or the dirty or, to do stuff. And it's no, that has nothing to do with God-centered. That's what you want in your feelings, and you're using that as a coy. For example, you invite the person to church. Now, you're not inviting no boy to church for God only. You just trying to see him because your mom and dad won't let you see him otherwise. So stop it, okay? You're not trying to fool anybody. You want to go to this. Let's just be real. I'm not saying not to invite a guy that you like to church. I'm not saying that at all. But what is the goal behind that? Is it truly that you want to invite the person so that they can find God? Or are you really inviting them because you want to see them and you want to be with them? Let me tell you, people might not be able to tell, but God knows. So when a relationship has God in it, God is praised. God is glorified. He feels it, right? And then he's going to honor you in return. First of all, he might show you that person that you thought was all about, God, he really isn't about God, right? When you do put God in your relationship, he might show you that person is not for you. And that might just be how he does it, right? Maybe that person might not want to come to church with you. Maybe that person will not want to pray. Maybe that person will tell you, oh, don't worry, sex is okay before marriage. We got to learn each other's bodies first, baby. You might hear that. How are you going to know? Well, you got to put God in it. Talk about God in your relationships, right? Let the person know that I am a church goer. I'm going to open the Sabbath with you on the phone. We could do that. I'll call you. It's Friday night. Sun is going down. Let's open the Sabbath together. Because I'm 7th day, you 7th day. Let's open the Sabbath together. What songs you going to sing? What song I'm going to sing? What psalms are we saying? And who's going to pray first? At your house, me at my house, let's do this. Okay? We don't have to be together per se for God to be in the midst of us. We could be far away. It's God in the center of the relationship also means while I'm by myself in Puerto Rico and you by yourself in Mexico, you living a godly life. I don't have to be next to you for you to be good. Okay, God is in your life, and you know that even though I'm not watching, God is watching. Also, it also means your thoughts have to be clean, right? Your thoughts have to be pure. I'm your girlfriend. You shouldn't be thinking about some other girl. That's God-centered relationship, okay? Because God says you don't have to sleep with the person. All you do is think wrongly about the person, and you done sinned, okay? That's having God as a center of the relationship. Also, God-centered relationship means God is making the choices for us, right? We mentioned that, right? What we're going to do, what school we're going to go to together, what choices are we making? Where we're going to attend. I don't know. Different choices that you make is as a group. First, you ask God. First, pray about it, right? Let's say you decide to get married. What day you're going to marry? Who are you going to invite? Like, pray about everything. Everything has to have God in it. And it sounds corny sometimes because you're like, oh my gosh, everything is everything. Okay. Because if you don't put God in everything, when you begin the relationship, once you get married, you're not going to put him in everything then as well. If you don't call and be like, yo, baby or boo or honey or whatever you call your significant other, pray for me about such and such, or pray for me for this, or let's pray together because I need to find my AirPods. Y'all know I lost my AirPods, right? Okay, I'm just letting you know, like, pray for me. I'm serious. Okay. All right. So, if something happened to you, call your boyfriend, your girlfriend, and let's pray about it, because, this is how we're going to work with the relationship as a boyfriend or girlfriend, so that when and if we do get married, fiance, whatever, you still put God first. So what do you guys think? What other ways do you see having God, a God-centered relationship? What other things does that involve? So Dwayne says pray. I see that. Or yeah. So definitely praying. Praying is totally important. Okay. So as you guys think about that, if you want to add more information or, just comment some more, definitely do. The next question is, let's see. When should you break off a relationship? That's a big one. When should you break off a relationship? So what do I have to say about that? Okay. So you guys know I've never had like, a boyfriend. I had one potential in high school. And like, he was like a major crush that I actually acted on. Right. And, I feel like the time to break up a relationship is when you know that it's not appropriate either now, or the person is not right for you because of what you see that they do, right? For me at the time, I was in high school. I wasn't supposed to have a relationship. And the person knew from the very beginning that my aunt would not allow me to have a boyfriend. So when he wrote me that little letter and I was like, yes, and I was like, I'm saying yes, but I'm not really supposed to have a boyfriend, and you're not really my boyfriend. We never went out together. He walking me home. People at the school kind of knew that I liked him, but he wasn't a boyfriend in the terms of a boyfriend, whatever. So, but I knew that I could not continue, that affection that I had for him, right? I had to break that. And that's what I can talk about. Right. So I've never had like a long time where, there's a kissing, there's a holding hands, and there's all of that, emotional tie in it for a long period of time. But I did have, a connection with a person that I was like, I can't continue with this. Right. And so when you know that should take place, and it's when you realize that, first of all, you're not going according to what God says, right? To me, I was disobeying. I was disobeying my parents. I was disobeying my aunt. My aunt said no, and I went and I wanted it. So I had to be like, no, you know what? I'm going to stay on my word. I can't call you. I can't talk to you. I can't do this. So for a real serious relationship now, like for people who go out together, who eat together, who are emotionally tied together, it's harder. It's not like this feeling that, you told the person I kind of like you. It's not like that. It's like, you're in it together. You go out every day. People know that you're together. They see you together. So it's harder. But so how do you, or when do you know that you should break it? So definitely, like I said, it's when you know God doesn't want it, right? If that person is not equally yoked with you, right? Innocence high school crushes are so cute. I know, right? So it's definitely when you realize that this person is not following God the same way you are, right? So if God is not in this person's life, then you cannot continue. See, this is what I always say. You cannot help whom your heart beats for, right? You can't, I can't help that I have a crush on this person at church, this elder, this young man, this older man, this whatever. I can't help that. My heart beats for whomever. But what I can help is my actions, right? And so you definitely should break a relationship when you start realizing that your actions, right, are becoming an interference, right? Meaning that now you're deciding that this person is not godly. So all of a sudden now they're asking you to have sex, or they're asking you, to go drinking, or they're asking you to do things that are not according to the Bible. Also, all these other flags we mentioned, right? These other liabilities. The minute that you start noticing 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 liabilities, I think that's a good time to start breaking up relationships. I have heard people who felt so tied, so connected, so involved with the individual that they just did not want to break the tie. And because I have had crushes, like strong crushes, I know how it feels to not want to break up a tie, right? You want to see the person or hear the person or be around the person. And it's hard, right? So this is just a crush, let alone if you're emotionally, physically involved, right? If you have little things that you've done together, you have a song that you all like, right? There's certain different things that when a relationship grows or continues to flourish and thrive and there's a longevity in it, you're more hooked in. So it is harder. But definitely those liabilities, once you start seeing them pop up, those are red flags and you should definitely break it up. So now, is it like just one of them? Well, it depends on how big that liability is, right? If the person's a spender, okay, maybe not. But if a person is abusive, definitely yes. Right? When I say spender, like let's say you make a lot of money, then you won't feel it as much. But doesn't matter how much money, how beautiful, how whatever, how smart you are, somebody hits you, somebody's going, that's the end of the relationship right there. Or somebody threatens your life, threatens to hit you, right? This is the time where you break up the relationship. I don't care how many years you got into this. I don't care how much money you put into this. And I have heard people who break up fiancé, break up with their fiancé. Oh, fiancé. Whatever, y'all. It's a French in me. I can't. Right? They break up that bond there. And, they had cards out. They had people coming to the wedding from afar. Listen, I would rather suffer the embarrassment of a day or a few months to a couple of years and eternity. Because remember, once you marry, you're not supposed to get divorced. And if you are going to get divorced, you're supposed to stay that way. But depending on how young you are, it's going to be hard. So you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, whereas you're going to want to get married, and that's one of the sins of the 10 Commandments. Okay? You don't want to go into that. Dwayne says, agreed, no relationship should be formed secretively. Yes, definitely. And yes, when this person does not yoke well with you, end it. Right? And I like that whole secretively thing. If you have to do something in secret, and that's the thing about my crushes, right? A lot of times, y'all, I be having crushes on the wrong people. Like, I'll put myself out there. It's Lord Jesus, forgive me, Lord. And I got to pray hard because I'm like, I'm not supposed to like this man. Like, Lord, help me. You know what I mean? And so, but if you can't come out in the open with a crush that goes into, a dating stage and like, it gotta go. Okay, I'm not saying it's everybody, y'all. I'm just saying a few of them. Okay, I'm not sickly. Don't put any thoughts in your minds. Okay, but I definitely agree with that, Dwayne. If you have to have a secret relationship, don't do it. God says anything that you do in the dark, there's a problem. You should be able to come out in the open. You should be able to tell your parents. You should be able to tell your church members. You should be able to tell your friends. You should not be hushing. Don't tell anybody. See, the thing is, for me, like, I don't like to have my relationships out there because I don't want people to say certain things about me, but it's not because it couldn't be out there, right? So be mindful, being respectful so that your relationship is not in everybody's mouth is one thing, but being secretive and being afraid of being caught is something totally different. And then Dwayne says, unfortunately, many of us fear ending broken relationship because we don't want to start all over again. That is true too. So a lot of people, they don't want to end the relationship because they're like, yo, I put so much time into this and I'm invested into this, and now I gotta go start all over again. How long have I not been in this dating game? And I'm kind of awkward, or I didn't even know if I would ever have a boyfriend. This guy finally likes me. All of this. And listen, who cares if it's not good for you? Run. I would rather you suffer the little time that it takes for you to find the right one, the one who's gonna love you like you've never been loved before. Then you resign yourself, settle yourself to just anybody just because you don't want to try again. Maybe the second time or the third time will be a charm. But also remember, make sure you observe and investigate before you fall head over heels. Dwayne says sometimes abuse only appears after marriage begins. Ooh, see, now Dwayne, right there, I want to refute that a little bit. So maybe that physical beat up where it leaves you black and blue might come after marriage because now that person feels like they have more authority over you. But I feel that a lot of times the person shows you certain signs of abusiveness before, like maybe their aggression. Remember we talked about aggressiveness? Maybe the belittling, right? Maybe making you feel less than human. Like there's a little bit part of that aggressive, abusive relationship that started even in the dating that you chose to ignore because your heart was so attached, right? So I had a crush on this one person, right? And I noticed that person was nice to me, but then I noticed that he wouldn't be nice to other people. And I'm like, so I know you're trying to show that I'm special, but at some point, I'm not going to always have that special allure in your eyes. And if you can treat other people mean, then there'll be a time where you're going to treat me mean too. So sometimes it doesn't even have to be with you that they show it. If you see that they're aggressive and mean to other people, that's not the kind of person that you want to be with. So I totally agree that sometimes that full out beat up that will leave you black and blue might happen in the marriage. But some of that first initial signs or red flags, they started even before if you were observant and if you were real with yourself. Jamela says, yes, but there will be red flags before. Definitely. So she's answering that. Yes. And Dwayne says some red flags look like pink. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He said so. I agree, Dwayne, but you know why though? It's because you like this person so much. You'll be like, yo, is this red? Is it arbor? Like, is it hot? Like, what color is this? I don't understand. Your heart won't let you see it for what it is. So if it's pink, move on. Go find something that's white, okay? Because you can't confuse pink and white, all right? I love it, Dwayne. I love it. I can't wait. I'm gonna laugh about this for days, y'all. It's so funny. Okay, let's move on. Dwayne is so funny. Okay. So let's see. The next question says, what are a few when should you break? Okay, to that. What are a few ways you can break off a bad relationship? So what are a few ways? Okay, so in our conversation last night, oh, hold on. Dwayne said, agreed. Aggression flags need to be identified and dealt with more effectively. Definitely. So, okay. So what are some ways you can break up with people? Okay. So one of the things that was mentioned in the conversation last night was, if the relationship started online and with a text, then you can break it up with a text, one, or because of the culture, whatever. Or if the relationship, if you're not strong enough to go ahead and break up the relationship in person because you think you might fall for the person's words and looks again, definitely break it up on the phone or forget the call, text them and tell them it's over because you feel like you're too weak. So that's the second way. If you don't feel safe and you feel like if you don't want the person to know where you are, who you're with, whatever, break up with a text or don't even call them at all, just disappear. Okay, that's all right. There are different reasons why breaking up with a text is okay. But if you invested time, you went to see this person, you had outings and relationship and all that, and there's no problem with your safety. It's just you wanting to move on because you feel like, this is not for you. I think it is respectful and only right that you see the person face to face. You have a conversation and say it's over. Right? Or you have a conversation over the phone, even if you don't want to see the person and waste more money on a dinner for what? Like, we're not going to see each other, so why waste my money? I don't know if that's not your take on it, right? But yeah, I think it's respectful if you break the person up. But in the book, they were saying that you should definitely break up on a good note. Like, you do not want somebody coming after you because you try to insult them and break, yo, you were ugly anyway, and your damn stink, and damn, don't, like, you do not want to go there, right? And even when it comes to rejecting guys, like I mentioned in last night, that there's so many people who get acid thrown into their face, who get hurt because of the way they reject others, right? Like, I'm not going to give you the time of day. I'm not going to allow you to think that you have a say or, a weight in my heart or whatever. But I'm not going to insult you either because you're a human being, okay? This guy has a heart, right? He let even if it was just to sleep with you. Let's say he just went to, he chose to sleep with you, okay? And I'm not saying that it's something that you honor. I'm not saying that, but that's a feeling that he had I don't want that. Thank you, but no thank you. Okay, that's the kind of idea that you have to come into relationships with, right? Thinking to yourself, like, respecting this person's choice of you, but knowing that I don't want to be chosen. I appreciate that you considered me, but I'm not in the position right now. I'm not interested right now. But thank you. I appreciate you. I'm not saying that's always going to work, right? Because there are some people, they're just devious and mean. Because, like, if I can't have you, can nobody have you, right? Or you think you cute, or you think you all that, that's why, right? So for things like that, you really have to pray. You got to ask God to protect you. And I don't know what God wants in your life, and I can't be like, if you do that, you're safe. I'm not going to say that. But I will say there are a lot of people, females and males, who put themselves in these situations because they like the attention. Right? You done give this person reason to think that you like them, that you will give them the whatever they're asking for. And then when you realize you're in too deep, you want to back out and do it nasty like. Don't do that. Cut them off from the beginning. Don't let their hearts beat for you, or don't let them think they have a chance with you. And then all of a sudden you're going to break it up and then you think it's going to be okay. Not everybody is mature enough to break up and be done with it. I know husbands and wives. I know one person who, like, he broke up with his wife and he talked some dirty stuff. Oh, she gay. Oh, she did this. Oh, she did. I'm like, yo, like, you loved her once. Remember that. Like, be respectful, right? So even if you don't like this person anymore, maybe they're not for you, but they're a human being, and God will hold you accountable what you do and what you say and how you think about this individual, right? Because God does not like ugly. I don't care, why you want to break up this person, whatever. Okay, fine, break up, but make sure it's good and clean. And, if you can, leave on cordial terms as much as you can. Do your best to leave this person on a good note so that there's no repercussions later on. So definitely call them if you can, see them if you can, and send them a text if you can, okay? But make sure it's clean, be honest, be fair, be cordial, right? Don't use their kids against them, because things happen and you're like, this person not for me. And this makes me remember, like, some people who use this individual, they use their money, they go to school on this person's money, they have a whole career on this person's money, and now that they made it in life, they're like, yo, I don't want him anymore. That's so wrong. Why would you go through all of that? Why would put the person's hope up with all of this stuff? You've abused this person, and now all of a sudden you're like, I don't want them anymore. That is wrong, right? So please, ladies, especially ladies do that a lot with these older guys, right? Because they're like, well, somebody gotta take care of me, and I got me a sugar daddy. I didn't ask him to like me, and so he gonna pay for this, whatever. That's not the right way to do it, ladies. Like, please be very careful that, and know that God will hold you accountable for these actions. Okay, so the next question. So how do you guys think you should break up with people? Like, do you think it should be clean? Do you think, dirty with dirty? Like, if they don't listen, curse them out? Like, what do you guys think about that? So then as you think of that, the next question is, which is kind of related. What is a few ways you can break up a bad relationship? So so one of the things that was mentioned is going ghost on a person. And they're like, that's not really nice, but if you feel like your life is in danger, I would ghost. Like, I don't want the person knowing where I am. I don't want the person having my phone number. I just need this person to be as far away from me as possible. So not all relationships end on a bad note, though. Not all relationships are bad. So that's why I distinguished between just, any relationship and a bad relationship, right? So bad relationships, to me, it's like you want to be as clear as possible, right? You want to make sure the person knows that there's no returning. Like, I don't want to leave an open door. I don't want you to think that I'm thinking about it. We're taking a break. We're not taking a break, sir. We're done. Okay, goodbye. Thank you for the time that you gave me. I appreciate you for then, but it's no longer, right? We don't want any mistakes. We don't want the person holding their breath, right? You want to make sure that this person knows that you're no longer going to be in their life, okay? Whether you have, ties with them or not, and sometimes like you might have, you might know their family members, you might be friends with them. And then, and that's the other thing too, like, I don't think you should provoke these people either. Like, if you're going to get out of their life, just get out their life altogether. Like, don't be around their cousins and friends and family, to taunt them like, well, you wish you had this, didn't you? Right? Especially if they cheated on you, right? And then you want to make them feel bad. It's human nature, but I don't think it's godly, okay? I feel like the more you spend trying to make them feel bad is the less time you have to enjoy your singlehood, right? And to find you a better person and to enjoy life for what it can offer you. Like, and to try to get over the pain. The more you want to show him or prove to him that he was wrong, you're wasting time. And you're giving him that time. You gave him so much time already. Why give him more, right? Even though a lot of times it might feel good for you, you think it feels good, but it really is not to your best advantage, right? And the last of my questions is, before we end, is it okay to invade someone's privacy in the name of love? So this is, since we're talking about bad relationships and breakups, now, before people break up, they usually tend to go into this whole checking through the phone list, checking their the drawers and under the bed, looking for hairs, looking for underwears. Like, do you think it's right, going to a person's job, stalking them? Do you think it's right for a person to do all of that in the name of love? So for me, I feel like no. Like, if I don't want you anymore and I'm trying to find reason why I should break up with you, I should just break up with you. Why do I need reason? In my opinion, if I have a feeling that someone is cheating on me, most likely it's true. Like, I feel like God gives females intuition, because why would it occur to you? It occurred to you because you saw something or you sensed something or something didn't jive. Like, their story, it was just off, right? And if you didn't trust this person, you shouldn't have been with them anyway. So obviously you trusted them. So if they tell you something, you should believe. But as soon as you start not believing what they say, I feel like if this is not your husband, then just break up with them. Okay, when you show proof of it, like, what does that do for you? Now that you know that there's another woman in the mix, like, what does that do for you? Are you going to break up with the person anyway? Or, like, once you find this proof, you're going to break, like, or is it that, so to me, it's like, unless you're going to wait for, I don't know. I just feel like if you trust this person, trust this person. If you don't trust them, leave them. Okay? Give them the benefit of the doubt. But if you have this suspicious, because like, why waste time going through the phone? Let me tell you, if I'm gonna spend a lot of time falling in love with somebody, investing love for you, and a lot of times the reason why females look is because they don't really want to break up with this person. Well, if you don't want to break up, don't find reason to break up. Because once you find it, you're going to have to. And if you don't, you look weak. Right? If you can. Right? But let's say you're forgiving. Okay, if you want to forgive, so why you want to look for reasons why I need to forgive you? Like, just either forgive and move on. Maybe you can have this conversation. I think it's okay to have a conversation. And that's the person I am. Let me tell you, I'll tell my mom and my aunt and I'll tell everybody. I don't care. This is how I feel. And this is what I think, okay? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But this is what I feel. And these are the reasons why I feel this way. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. I might be wrong, but this is how I feel. Okay, I'm going to still love you. I'm going to still go on faith and on God and our past feelings. But this is what I feel. And if the person loves you enough and they sense that you've caught them or you're onto them, if they love you enough, they will stop. I'm going to be real. People might have reasons to cheat. Everyone is human. People lie, people cheat, people steal. But I would imagine that you will find someone with character enough who doesn't. But let's say they make a mistake. Let's say they do. And let me tell you, sometimes there are females and males out there who will piéger, who will entrap your boyfriend, entrap your girlfriend, and force them into that position. You know the story of Joseph. If Joseph fell, I feel like everybody would have understood. Not that he did, and I'm glad he did not, but let's just be real. This woman, she sent everybody out. Yo, she was banging. She waited till they were alone. She grabbed them. Listen, there are females out there just like Pharaoh's wife. They will, you see these movies, there's obsession. Yo, they will stalk you, find out what you like, find out about your perfume, see, what's your favorite music. They will show you I'm the better woman. So I'm not saying that any man has a reason or any female has a reason to cheat. I'm not saying that. But I am saying that everyone is human. So there is a possibility. So if you're willing to forgive, just forgive and move on. But if you're not, then break up and then move on. Don't make the person's life miserable because they made a mistake. And if they're doing it repeatedly, then there's no reason for you to stay anyway. So why you're going to find the first girlfriend, then you're going to find the second girlfriend, then you're going to find the third girl. But how many times you going to become an investigator? You in the wrong career. If you're a nurse, change. I'm just saying, you're in the wrong career. If you have time to be going to stalk people, waiting behind this car, and then sneaking behind that restaurant, and then waiting in the house, in the closet, to wait for the woman to come by. Come on, that's too much energy. You got time for that? I think you got too much time on your hands. Okay, so I don't think there's any reason really why a female should go in and. But then again, I don't have a boyfriend. Never had a boyfriend, so that I don't know what would push me to do that. So those of you who think it is okay, why do you think it's okay? Is it okay to do that? Okay, so we're done. It is 4:03. We went 3 minutes over, so we're going to stop here. We didn't get a chance to go over the questions that Dwayne had here. Let me see. Which signs during dating, courting, or total red flags and 100% evidence to leave the relationship? So we could kind of quickly go over this one because it kind of mentioned the red flags and the liabilities we talked about. So we mentioned a few of that. So we kind of went over that question. So at least we covered that one question. Anyway, so we're going to end here. And you guys, if you have more questions, definitely add them. I'm going to keep doing this every 3 o'clock on Saturday around this time. I enjoy our talks and the revelations that you guys present. And anyone who sees this later, definitely add to the comment box if there's anything you don't agree with or something you want to corroborate because you think it's true and you have other examples or whatever that you can share. So thank you guys for listening and watching. I will see you next time. I want you to enjoy your week and just enjoy life in general. And if you have a relationship, treasure it. I hope that that it is the right relationship, that you prayed before you entered it. Do whatever you can to maintain it. Make sure you observe the patterns in this person's life. Look for liabilities, look for assets. If there's an asset, help the person strengthen it, grow with it. And if there's a liability, if you can help them better it, pray for them, assist them into getting rid of it, do. But if you cannot, leave them to God and leave them, period, right? Because you don't want that in your life. Again, thank you guys. And if you do have to break up relationship, make sure you do it clean. Make sure you be respectful. Make sure you understand that this is an individual. They are a person. They are someone's child. They have feelings. Okay, you don't want to be mean to anybody, even if you don't want them. All right. Okay, so let us pray and we can close. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to once again share this information about relationships. Thank you for the information that we learned as we spoke. I pray that anyone who listens to this will find something that they can learn from and they can apply to their relationship. Help them to grow stronger as they connect to one another. Father, help them, those who are in serious relationships, so that they can truly know that the person is Christ-centered, the relationship is Christ-centered, and in the long run, once they get married, they will live forever together, and you will find them together when you come, or they will, that person will aid them into getting into heaven. Thank you for this week that you've already opened up before us. I pray that you help it to be a great week. Help us to connect with someone, help them learn and teach them about you, so that they can strengthen their walk with you as we strengthen ours. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I will see you next week or sometime during the week. I don't know, Sabbath school, lessons, talks, advice, complaints, whatever it is, you'll probably hear from me in the week. You guys, see you. Bye.